Hello, hello. If you can see me and if you can hear me, drop in the chat a big yes. I need to know that I am dialing in from Germany loud and clear. Stefan, that is a difficult one with the Caribbean. You're right. I will do better next time. Oh my gosh, it is 1:30 a.m. where you're dialing in. Well, I so appreciate you being here. Yes, okay, we're seeing some smiley faces. You guys can see me. I hope you appreciate the lighting. I tried to really do something with here. TikTok made me buy it. I will not apologize, but let's get into it, guys. Just taking a quick little look at the polls, we see that America is rolling deep, but we truly have people from all over the world. And that's the energy that my life has just in general now that I've moved abroad. I have friends from all over. It seems like a lot of you are between the ages of 25 and 40, which is typically the age I reach out to. But I love seeing young people under the age of 25 here. Thank you so much for coming down. I wish I would have had something like this when I was like 18, trying to figure out what the hell I was doing with my life. In terms of work experience, you guys typically have some pretty decent work experience. Most people have 2 to 5 years. We have several people with over 5 years of experience. That's going to make this workshop a lot easier, to be honest. But we have something for everyone here at Wander Onwards. And then we see that lots of people have university degrees, even master's or higher. And then we have some people coming in with no degree, which is totally fine. There are loads of options for you. Let's talk about apprenticeships later. And then we see that TikTok's coming through strong. Did you guys see that video where I talk about Black and brown folks working in tech? Is that what brought you here? Let me know in the chat. I'm really curious if you saw me, Zahir, and Mindy repping brown and black folk in tech. We were so happy that that video blew up so much. Yes. Okay, perfect. And I'm kind of a secret agent. I'm actually Mexican American. So black and brown, we're talking about Indian folks, Latinos. Black diaspora is all over the world. So truly and honestly, we are the unicorns of our industry. And we're here to let you know that we're out here as well. So we're here to welcome people like us from all backgrounds and places. So let's get into it. We're going to start talking about who the hell am I? Just some random person you found on the internet, which is fine. I am going to go ahead and share a little presentation with you guys. You're going to see me get really small in the corner, but I'm still watching the chat. So if you have anything to say, drop it in there. We're also collecting questions down here where it says ask a question. And we're going to do like 50 minutes of me talking about my presentation and the things I've prepared to share with you. And then we'll get into live Q&A. Sound good? All right, let's share. All right, let me know in the chat if you can see my presentation, how to find a job abroad. Let me know in the chat. Type yes. Awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. Yes, Kevin. Okay, so Kevin, I did date a Colombian who ruined all of Colombia for me. So you are still welcome here regardless. Great. We're seeing in the chat that people can see this presentation. Perfect. All right, let's get going. So this is a presentation about how to find a job abroad, even without experience or a degree. So in 2013, I actually started my first job abroad, and then fast forward 8 years going, I'm still out here. I'm still doing me. I'm still learning, making mistakes, building my career. And I hope to provide you with some ideas and inspiration about how you can do the same. So hi, I'm Vanessa. I'm a tech worker and business owner. I specialize in AP integration for Expedia Group, but obviously all of these opinions are of my own and not a representation of the company. In my spare time, I am actually a business owner. I own Wander Onwards LLC and With Love Travel Limited, and I help people chase financial and location independence. I've been out here for a while. I've been in Huffington Post, Time, Business Insider, just sharing the good word that is moving abroad and what you can do with any passport in any different country. And I think there's something really special about moving abroad and seeing what you're made out of outside of your home country. So I've written a few articles about my experiences abroad. Recently, I've been writing about Germany and money, but I also have tons of articles, travel guides, tricks to finding a master's abroad. Go to wanderonwards.co, which is in the link of my bio normally, and you can see all of those free resources that I have for you guys. Now, I've been abroad for 8 long years. I packed a suitcase at 22. I sold everything, dumped my boyfriend, and moved to China to be an English teacher in 2013. I really didn't feel like I fit into America. I tried both sides of the country. I was born and raised in Los Angeles. I'm a proud Chicana. And then I went to Boston for university. I went to Boston College. And both places, I seem to gravitate towards the internationals, the immigrants, the people that weren't from that country, weren't born and raised there. And so I decided to take a risk and jump and go see what else is in the world for me. I will also say that I was heavily bullied in multiple different places in the United States. And that really made it quite easy to choose to leave because I didn't really feel like my tribe was there. I just wanted more. I wanted to see different places. I wanted to learn languages. And I didn't really want to work 9 to 5 just yet and commit the rest of my life to corporate America because 12 holidays a year is really not that much. Out here in Germany, we have 30. So it was time to leave, I guess. I definitely didn't start with a lot. So I originally took out a bunch of student loans to pay for college. I did get some financial aid and some scholarships, but in 2016, I woke up to like $110,000 worth of student loans and credit card debt. Now, at that time, I was living in the United Kingdom. And prior to that, I actually was living in Beijing, China. And the motivation to move to China is because I really wanted an adventure for myself. I wanted to live in a more affordable place. At the time, my salary was about 10,000 renminbi, which is equivalent to, I think, 1,400 US dollars. And that I was able to pay for my apartment, food, travel, transportation, my phone bills, everything. So I really got a taste of what it could mean to live in a lower cost of living environment and how I could spin that into paying down debt. I could save for travel. I could do the things that I wouldn't be able to normally afford in the United States if I was teaching English at a local high school. So my life today is very different. Today I have a travel tech career that I love and enjoy. I've been working for this travel tech company for the last 3 years. My anniversary was just last week. I am a travel blogger as well, and I used travel blogging as a way to pay for my travel all around the world. Companies would get in contact with me and say, hey, come to Cuba, come to Mexico, we will pay for everything. You just need to write about us in your blog. So I happily took them up on that offer, and my blog basically paid for my entire honeymoon, which was pretty cool. I'm also an educator, so I like to talk about money and travel on the internet. I help people chase financial independence and location independence because I think we all deserve a little bit of a break. Like, human beings weren't made to work, buy a house, buy a car, then die. That's not what we're here for. Thank you so much for the happy anniversary. And before we get into specifics about like immigration, visas, blah, blah, a quick reminder that I, Vanessa Minchaka-Wachtmeister, and my affiliates, Wander Onwards and Teachable, do not provide financial, legal, or immigration advice. This material is purely informational for you to launch your own investigation and journey. So please treat it as so. So this journey is for you if you want to follow your dreams of living abroad, but have no idea where to start. Like for me, yes, this session is being recorded. For me, when I first started preparing for Beijing, I had no idea what a visa process was. I didn't know what to buy. I didn't know how to like budget my money. I didn't even know how to start learning Chinese. I don't know if you've tried to learn Chinese, but it's pretty hard. So I just kind of scoured all the blogs and just hoped for the best. And that was a huge kick to the ovaries when I first got there because I just had no realistic expectation for what I was about to do. If you're over the 9-to-5 life and you want to pursue a career shift that will allow you to travel more, this is for you. So in addition to like having the flexibility to travel, my job actually pays me to travel, my travel tech job, and they send me to Hong Kong, they send me to Warsaw, they send me to France because I'm consulting with clients, and I've had this same sort of like travel focused career for the last 3 jobs that I've done. So it's not just what I do specifically right now. You can do it too. If you want to transition your career abroad and take advantage of better working conditions, this presentation is for you. I have 30 days of annual leave. I rolled over my 10 days from last year as well. So now I have 40 days of annual leave. It is truly a wonderful time to work abroad because companies outside of the United States or outside of more restrictive working environments have loads of perks that you can take advantage of. You just got to find which one. If you want to move somewhere more affordable so you can pay down debt quickly and not worry about bills so much, that was a huge motivator for me. How the hell was I going to pay down $110,000 if I was paying the same sort of rents in New York, in Los Angeles, in San Francisco? Leaving the United States, even though my salary was lower, cut my cost of living in half, and I was allowed to pay almost $45,000 back in student loan debt. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. And then, of course, you simply want to have an adventure. I think a lot of people focus on, oh, I need to have a reason to go abroad, blah, blah, blah. If you just want to go have an adventure, go fall in love, go have a good time, you are totally able to do that just simply because you want to. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. So you are not alone in this process. If any of those things sounded like something that you're interested in, I've been doing that for 8 years and I can definitely help. I provide loads of free content on my blog, Instagram, and TikTok, on my YouTube. And then I also have a Move Abroad masterclass that's a 6 weeks crash course into what it takes to move abroad, whether that's to do a master's, to find a job, to join a loved one. Also for the American specific class, I have small group coaching because the Americans are a little bit of a different situation when it comes to tax and visas and all that good stuff. So I support my American audience a little bit more. But I also have a globally relevant course for anyone with any passport. And I've just updated the jobs section, which is why we're doing this workshop today. So let's talk about today's agenda. First, we're going to talk about why you should move abroad, because I think everybody here is kind of on the same page, but let's get into some concrete details. We're going to figure out where in the world that you should move. We're going to be looking for jobs online with specifics about where to look and how to do it. We're going to talk about why you need to build your network while you're moving abroad, and even before so. We're going to go into how visas work, and then I'm going to talk about how I actually pivoted into tech while I was abroad. So let's get into it. So first of all, why move abroad? For me, as you heard, something was truly missing for me in the United States. I never fit in. Nobody asked me to prom both times. It definitely doesn't hurt. I didn't want to work crazy hours for corporate America. I mean, God forbid. I gravitated towards internationals, like the different languages they were speaking, the different places in the world that they were from. I wanted to have an adventure. Like, this is something that I dreamt about all my life as a teenager, like just in my room, reading books, Googling things about places I could go. This is something I wanted to do for me. And then, of course, I wanted a more affordable life so I could calm down, relax, know that my bills are paid without having to think about healthcare, think about my student loans all the time. That truly has taken like years off of my life in the past, but we're okay now. So first I moved to Beijing, China, as an English teacher. I found a program that specialized in Beijing city center. They paid for my flight, they paid for my accommodation. And then at my school, they actually paid for my meals during the school day. And I really appreciated this experience because it gave me that sort of hand-holding experience I needed for my first time abroad. And then, of course, if you don't speak Chinese or if you've never been to China, it's a lot. It's a lot to handle. It is. And I didn't even visit China before I decided to move there. I was just like, yep, that sounds great. I wanted something different and completely out of my comfort zone. So I chose China. Today, I'm in Germany, Deutschland, and I couldn't be happier here. Like, I truly think this is the place I'm going to live forever and die, probably. But knowing me, I'll move again in the next 4 years, depending on work. And moving abroad just gave me a better understanding of who I was, what I wanted, and how I can help people do the same. I currently work in tech, as you've seen, and I actually get sent around the world because I'm in client services. So not only was I able to pull off a fantastic job with an American style salary in Europe, I also get all of my travel more or less paid for through my blog or my full-time job. And now I can just coast until I die. I'm just kidding. I see a few people want to move to Germany. Flora's already in tech. I love that you guys are here talking with me about moving abroad, about what is possible in this realm, because there's so much more than we ever thought. So how do you pick somewhere to move? You could be like me and you could just like point on a map, or I would recommend that you do a values exercise. So I decided to write down all the things that I loved about my country, that I wanted to replicate abroad. But then I had to really come to terms with what could have been done better. So like I said, I'm from Los Angeles. The quality of living is not normal in comparison to the rest of the world. The student loans were constantly giving me anxiety. Mass shootings, a thing. Not a thing anywhere else for some reason. That truly gives me a panic attack. And I have some like trauma, I guess I'm working through when I go home and I'm in big crowds, but not a thing in Germany, not a thing in the UK. That's what I was really focused on. There's also high inequality in the United States. And for me, growing up in Los Angeles, I saw loads of homeless people all over the United States and in LA specifically. And it just made me really question, why is this like that? Like, why is the richest city in the country, one of the richest cities in the country, excuse me, allowing people to live on the street and suffer like this? That was a huge concern for me. And then, of course, the culture consumption, or the consumption culture. Like, everybody wants fast cars, big houses, shiny things. I'm a little bit more covert than that. Like, this dress is 5 years old and it's like ripped on the bottom, but it's perfectly fine because you only see from this part up. So then I started looking for what countries specialize in my industry. So I was focusing on tech. I know that the below countries have really thriving tech communities. They have cities where hundreds, dozens, whatever tech companies gravitate towards and could sponsor a visa for me. That was really important to me. And then, of course, I looked at what countries were easier for me to get to. Ireland has a stamp system actually for Americans. You can just like show up. Germany, my husband's German, so that could be a easy point in. China, they're really in need of English teachers, so that was an easy work visa to get. Costa Rica, Panama, Mexico, Portugal, all very flexible visa situations. That's how I kind of narrowed down my search. So do this yourself later. I also have a quiz on my website, wanderonwards.co. You can go that way as well, and I can give you feedback via that quiz. Okay. How to find jobs online. Let's talk about specifics because I know this is a big pain point. So these are the 3 main websites that I use. You don't really need to use any more than this. However, I would recommend that once you find a job that you like, that you go directly to that company and apply there. Nicolette says that she did my quiz. So happy to hear that. What did you get, Nicolette? Let's talk about, so I prioritized it from where you should start to where you should end, and you should prioritize that way. So first of all, Glassdoor is really good for like salary overviews and understanding what is available at that company. And if you scroll to the very bottom, it's often hidden that the recruiter's personal details are there. So like their phone numbers, their emails, where they can get in touch with, or how you can get in touch with them. So get in touch with them, go that direction. But it can be a little bit difficult because you can't see who else is working for that company there, and like start building a network. So then you keep moving down this like little line graph that I created. Indeed is also a fantastic place to find jobs, more specifically for English speakers, because they actually have an English speaking function where they display this is an English speaking job, or it's okay if you only speak English. This is huge in Germany because a lot of foreigners come here, and whatever languages they speak, English seems to be a more common one than German. So you can search English, comma, whatever that job is. But a little like drawback is the fact that there are so many listings. Honestly, it just goes on and on and on and on. So then your next best bet is LinkedIn. And this is what I do personally. I set up alerts for jobs. So I pick the city that I'm in. I punch in the job title that I'm looking for, which is product manager. And then I set an alert for weekly alerts via email. If you do daily, it gets very overwhelming. And once I see a job that I really like, I go and add people from that company and try to DM someone for some more information about that role. This is a trick that a Facebook recruiter actually gave me. I got knocked out of a Facebook interview round. She set up a meeting with me to give me feedback. And that's what she said to do that, because my CV was fantastic. It was just the location and me asking for a remote role that was not a good fit for the hiring manager at the time. So that's what I did when I was looking for jobs again. If you want more personalized help and like my specific details of my talk track, my CV template, feedback from other expats, I actually have a whole section on finding a job abroad in my masterclass. So you can go into there and start working your way through on your own. So let's talk about building your network. We'll take a few questions actually. Do companies value international employees when they already have strong talent based in X country? Yes, because international employees bring different languages, skill sets, insights, specialization. People love that I'm American because I have like a really open and like go-getter kind of attitude. So I'm often being asked to create new products, to develop new things that other countries would feel, or not other countries, that other people would feel a little bit more timid and uncomfortable with. So don't be ashamed for being international. Building your network. So your network is absolutely critical, especially when you're asking for a visa sponsorship. This is because we'll get into this a little bit more in detail, but in the visa sponsorship, you need to prove that you can do the job when other local people cannot, or the company couldn't find someone local that could do it. This is massage. This is not as big of a deal if you know the hiring manager, because they can create the right language in the job posting so it fits your specific CV and background. I've seen this done so many times with other expats. So the way that I like to meet people in the area is through Internations, which is like a online club. They do events all over the world. They're in loads of different communities. They do local activities. So that's great. That's a little bit more mature in age. So if you're like over 30, that'll be more your thing. If you're anywhere between like 18 and 35, even 40 really, Facebook groups, these are an incredible place to meet people. I personally love Girls Love Travel, Girls Gone International. But anywhere you go, you'll also likely have a like nationality in London. So Americans in London, Indians in London, Chinese in London. And those communities really help you with visa questions, culture questions, where to move, where to live. It's fantastic. LinkedIn, I typically go to my university groups, my industry groups, country or language specific groups. And then I just kind of lurk and wait for job postings to be posted or someone asking for feedback, or I try to add as many people as possible on LinkedIn because that's how your profile expands its reach and recruiters are more likely to find you. Meetup is also a fantastic resource. It's a little bit more casual. It's a little bit more young, but it will always connect you with like-minded people that you already have stuff in common with. And when that happens, people are more likely to want to help you and want to encourage you to move forward. This is how I got my content creation role with Revolut in like 2014, when there was 4 guys just trying their best to pull together an app. I started writing their very first articles. It's on my LinkedIn, you can see it. And now they're this like multinational unicorn, blah, blah, blah. And that was all possible because of Meetup. All right, let's take a little question break. If you have a specific city you're trying to move to, see if there's a Facebook. Yes, exactly. Runa knows it. Is Xing good for networking job search in Europe? I wouldn't say so. I've not really run up on it myself, but I just got to Europe like last year. Can you still apply for international jobs while living in the US? Of course, I was doing that at the beginning. I have lots of friends who are doing that as well. It's just a little harder to prove that you're willing to go out there and like change your whole life to a new company. Companies would rather see you with some sort of international experience, whether that's volunteering or like living outside of the country at that time. To prove that you are serious about the commitment and will move out there. Travel tech just means that I build the technology you use to book holidays. So like when you search for flights, search for hotels, stuff like that. So let's talk about how visa works. Visa, I cannot speak English right now. Okay. So this is my personal UK EU visa journey. I'm currently a settled person in the UK, and I have a 5-year EU residency, excuse me. So I started my journey on a tourist visa in the United Kingdom, and I took loads of different interviews with companies, with universities, because I was planning to do my studies there for my master's. So once I figured out where I wanted to be and how I wanted to do it, I came back on a student visa because I applied to SOAS, the University of London, got in, and then I came for 2 years on a student visa. Now, on a student visa, I was able to work 20 hours a week. So that's how I was able to finesse different partnerships and internships while I was in the country, until I moved over to an EEA UK family visa when my husband and I got married. So when I was on that EEA UK family visa, I started working for my travel tech company, and they were actually able to sponsor me. But when you get sponsored on a work visa, you are basically betrothed to that company, and you can't leave. If you leave, your visa gets canceled. You have to roll over your work visa to another company, and then they take responsibility for you if you like do crime or something like that. So there are like pros and cons to having a work visa over any other visa. In 2019, I became a settled status person due to Brexit. So I still have the ability to go back to the United Kingdom on my own without my husband, and continue working there, but I need to maintain that residency. Otherwise, I lose that right. Then I made it to Europe in 2020 at the height of the pandemic, lucky me. And I applied for my EEA family permit. I was actually given 5-year EU residency though, because I had a UK master's degree and I'd been in Europe for an extended period of time. So in 3 years, I'll actually be a permanent resident. They can't get rid of me, full stop. But I'm still working for major tech companies that can sponsor if need be. I just chose to go through the family visa so I could leave and be part of companies whenever I want, instead of waiting for that whole work visa process to come through. Okay. Do you think this information is relevant from people outside the US? Yes, I do, because you have to go through all of that process wherever you are. So if you're Indian going into Europe, you need to do this same process. If you're South African going to China, you need to do this same process. This entire system of how to move abroad that I've built in my masterclass is relevant for any passport going anywhere, because it's the same process. It's only the specifics of the visa framework that changes, but it's still relatively the same. Let's talk about it. So if you are talking about Germany, if you are coming from outside of Germany and outside of the EU, whether it's India, Canada, United States, Mexico, it doesn't matter. All of these things are relevant to you. So first of all, you need a standard visa application. So that's like your name, where you're from, your schooling, your biometrics. So that means your fingerprints and picture. That needs to be filled out. That's a 7-page experience. Enjoy that. Then you need a signed contract from your future employer. So you negotiate with Amazon to say that you're coming this date, you're being paid that much. They are responsible for you if you do crime or something like that. And then you bring that to your visa application as well. You need health insurance. So you can actually buy private health insurance for like 6 months until you move on to public health insurance. That could be provided by your company or a private institution. German health insurance is a little complicated, so we won't get into it, but you need to have that. And then you need proof that the job you have been offered cannot be done by other workers who are citizens of the EU/EEA. Now, we touched on this a little bit earlier on, and truly any job spec can be finagled in a way that portrays you as the only person able to do that job. I've seen loads of people get work visas for things that definitely could be done by anyone locally, but their experience is very specific. Their language is very specific. There's something in the job criteria that allows that company to make the case that you're the only person able to do that there. So this is why your network is so important, because you need to have that backing from whoever it is that is sponsoring your visa. Quick question break. My family and I are planning to go to Europe next month and country hop so I can apply for engineering jobs. Should I put our temporary address on my CV, even though we're moving every 3 months, even though it's an Airbnb? No, you should not. You should put a European phone number instead, and just remove the address completely, because they will eventually ask you what your status is. And then once you're in conversations with them, that's when you let them know. Don't put that barrier in front of yourself already by being very obvious about needing the sponsorship. You want to get them hooked first, and then talk to them immediately before you do all the interviews. Okay. One more question. I'm finding a lot of companies don't want to go through the whole visa sponsorship process. I'm a software engineer wanting to go to Paris or to the UK, but most places turn me down. So you need to be applying for the right companies. There are a list, at least on the UK government websites, of companies that are able to sponsor visas. You should start there. You should not consider any other company outside of that list. Once you're there, you're going to need to apply for mid-range or highly technical jobs. It sounds like you're an engineer, so that is highly technical. So then the next step would be creating that network for yourself, because you need to stand out. You need to create the case that you are the right candidate for that job. And for that reason, they should be willing to sponsor that visa. I had a financial company be willing to put me on a remote contract to increase my salary by 30% and actually move a job from Frankfurt to Munich, where I was, just because they liked me so much and wanted to have me as part of the team. Now, part of that caveat was they were going to have to change some of the language in the contract. They had to repost that opportunity because of what the Worker Council requires. And then they would have to appeal to the Workers Council as well. So if companies are motivated, if you have the buy-in from your network, you can do it. There you go. So let's talk about how I pivoted to tech abroad, because I know this is a big question. Like, how did this little English teacher become like an API consultant? It doesn't make sense to me as well, but I promise you there's some rationale there. So first of all, I got salmonella in 2014. I couldn't leave my apartment for 3 months. I basically was running back and forth from the loo. It was pretty horrible. But in that experience, I couldn't work. I had no money. I basically couldn't pay my rent or food, and my friends had to lend me money just to eat. It was a really dark time in my life. So I decided to do something about it. And I started to teach myself how to code. I started reading books about how to build websites. And then I launched Wander Onwards. So Wander Onwards started becoming my portfolio of what I could do. And I started pitching it to private company holders in Beijing to allow me to build their website and maintain it for a fixed price and then a maintenance fee. All of that became my main talking points in tech interviews to secure a project management role. My very first one in 2017. Yes, 17. The process of being a project manager can easily be learned online through free tutorials. I used Udemy. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos. And that gave me the vocabulary and phrasing that I needed to talk about my side hustles in interviews in a way that was convincing and encouraging. When I went to my travel tech company, hold on, I'm talking a lot. When I went to the travel tech company, I really focused on the fact that I had created a travel blog by myself. I had negotiated these different terms. I had experience building customer funnels. I made the case that whatever I lacked in formal experience, I made up in passion and curiosity. And that's something that you truly can't buy. And a lot of tech companies are starting to realize this, that they don't need just people who will sit at their desk, be quiet, and do their work without any creative thinking. If you want to be competitive in tech, you need to be iterating, you need to be improving, you need to be constantly chasing a better version of whatever it is that you need to build. And that's what I do every day at Wander Onwards. So learning how to interview and phrase my experience in a way that was relevant to these different companies was super, super important. That was the game breaker. I did go through a lot of missed final rounds and barely didn't get it because one, I was obviously not on a work visa just yet. And two, I was so young, I needed more experience to really hammer that away. But eventually I got it. And actually, here's a list of all the companies I've interviewed with final rounds, I've done internships with, contracts, and of course, accepted offers from. So these are all companies in Europe that are big enough to sponsor, that I had to do 6 to 7 rounds for. But this English teacher that had no real plan in China and got salmonella and almost died was able to reposition her experience in a way that all of these companies really loved and cared about enough to give me a job, give me an internship, just support me in my career moving forward. So don't underestimate how you can turn a side hustle into something that will truly change the course of your entire career. So if you would like my help to kind of pivot your career in a way that would be appealing to tech companies and big businesses abroad, I actually offer a one-to-one career coaching package. In that package, you get lifetime access to my Move Abroad Masterclass, the small group coaching, which starts July 11th, and then 5 private sessions with me to go over your cover letter, your CV. We do interview practice. I'll actually give you people from my personal network in order to talk to rely on. And then I'll find you handpicked jobs that we can apply to together. So this package is actually only available for Americans at this point, but I will potentially expand this further. And there's actually only 2 spots available for the summer. So if this is something that you're interested in, I would highly encourage you to pounce on it ASAP. So what if you have no degree or experience? That's okay. There are travel jobs out in the world, and you don't potentially need a degree for this or relevant work experience. You can still do them. They're not going to be the like 6-figure American equivalent salary out in Germany, but they will start you on the path to moving abroad and give you a fantastic experience living in different countries and some time to actually apply to relevant positions in that country. So first of all, we have a work exchange. So basically that means you volunteer in exchange for accommodation and food. An example of this would be working for a hostel in Mexico for 3 months. You work a set amount of hours and you get to stay there full time and just like enjoy the surroundings and figure out what you want. This is a great way to land in a country and start figuring out where you want to be, what you want to do, and who can help you do that. You can be an au pair. Basically, you care for a family and their kids in exchange for housing, food, and a little bit of money. I know lots of people have done this to come to Germany while they study the language and then eventually move into a more formal job. And I think this is a fantastic idea. Nicolette says, after the summer, when is the next offer for the one-on-one? That will be in the fall. So like October time. You can teach English abroad. That was my pathway in. They paid for my accommodation, my salary, and my flights. And I started meeting people in Beijing, really understanding how things work there. I met my best friend. I met my husband there. I'm the only woman that traveled 3,000 miles away to China to pick up a German man that speaks Chinese. And that was life-changing for me. I didn't make the big bucks yet, but that was fine. I was investing in this long-term life abroad, and this really set me up for the rest of my life because you have to be really creative to make it in China. Then there's woofing, which is essentially organic farming. And you live on a farm, you pick mangoes, you plant strawberries, and in exchange, you get to stay there, you get food, you get to meet other people. And this is a great way into countries where you have no experience and maybe want to work in the ecological area or the farming industry. There's so many opportunities to work abroad, even with no degree or experience, and then start gaining experience once you're there. So here are my top suggestions. If you really want to build your life abroad, you need to play the long game. In a perfect world, first, you're going to get a foot through the door, whether that's with a master's, a volunteer opportunity, whatever. Build your network. Then you're going to expand that international network into the relevant fields that you want to be in. So I connected with people from China in the UK. I connected with people from Germany in the UK. And that's how I kind of like started piecing the puzzle together. Then, of course, you want to focus on reaching your visa thresholds because like you saw in my visa journey, the fact that I've been in different countries for so long then opens me to permanent residency, which then opens me to a second passport potentially. And you always want to keep that in the back of your mind. If you're going to be in the UK for 4.5 years, can you stretch it out to 5.5 so you can get that extra passport? I don't know. You tell me. Let's talk a little bit about some common concerns too. Is working abroad a good career move? Absolutely. Companies in your home country will love the fact that you have this international experience, you have language skills, you have cultural chameleon skills. It also makes you interesting and gives you something to talk about in an interview. If 2 API managers come up against one another in the United States, but one of them has been living around the world for 8 years, I'd bet my left toe that they would be willing to go for someone who has more experience around the world, who has a wider mindset for business, it will carry you for the rest of your life. Should I work abroad when I'm paying down debt? Absolutely, because living abroad outside of your home country could potentially be more financially fruitful for you, whether that's a lower cost of living or a higher salary. You really need to put yourself in a position to tackle that debt responsibly, and sometimes that's taking a risk and leaving. Do you need to speak the local language? My Deutsch is like nicht so good, but I am struggling my way through my A2, and I work for a German office. I'm doing okay. When I was looking for jobs over here, companies were taking my CV. I was getting interviews with Amazon, with Deutsche Bank. Like, people wanted to know who I was, what I was about, and I was moving through those interviews just fine without German as a major language. Why are the salaries lower abroad? Well, American salaries are kind of inflated in the major cities to keep up with the cost of living. Around the world, where rent is only like 500 euros a month and groceries are grown right down the road, the salaries don't need to be as high to attract competitive individuals to that industry. The one like caveat to this would be London. Like, London is unexplainably low for salaries when the cost of living is just so detrimentally high there. I think Hong Kong is very similar for non-expat as well. In London, I was making like 18,000 pounds a year my first internship, which was horrendous. I saved no money. But then I started climbing once I had a little bit of experience, and that started impacting my ability to pay my loans down more efficiently. You will be fine, though. Even if you're making 30,000 euros in Berlin, you will be able to live a comfortable life. You're not going to be going to Dubai every weekend, but you will be okay. People live on much less. And can I move abroad while COVID is still an issue? You can 100% move abroad during COVID. They will give you a residence permit as soon as you get here and do your visa process and all that good stuff. I did my whole end-to-end German visa during the height of COVID. It was a little bit more annoying to do because, of course, everything was online and the bureaucracy here is quite slow. But I was able to move entirely to Germany on a new passport. I got a new passport as well, a new passport, new visa, everything brand new. It was fine. Yeah. And let me just reiterate, no matter how old you are, no matter where you are in your career or studies, it is never too late to start wherever you are in the world. For me, it felt like I finally reached my career height a little late, but that was like this weird arbitrary timeline I had in my mind that no one else had for me. I just saw all of my friends in the United States doing these big consulting jobs and making all this money. And I was like, oh my God, I'm teaching English in China. What's wrong with me? And you know what? Nothing was wrong with me. I took a chance on myself. I did what I wanted when I wanted. And then my career caught up because I had the maturity to figure out what I wanted to do and to make that happen in these different companies. And you know what? At the end, people often talk about what they regret most on their deathbed in these different articles. And I found this quote to be particularly interesting. I wish I had had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. So if you have family expectations, cultural expectations, expectations of yourself, these things at a surface level will not allow you to live your best life at the end of your lifespan. It's not going to be what matters. What's going to matter to you at the end of everything is that you got to live your life on your terms, doing what you wanted, wherever that is in the world. And that's exactly what I did. For that reason, how it started in my life in America is completely different to how it's going right now. So in America, I had severe issues with my gut and with my digestive system. So I got hit with $5,000 hospital bills all of a sudden when I was in college. And I had to visit the hospital all the time because of my anxiety with school and just everything I was doing. I had panic attacks in the LSAT. I was sobbing hysterically because I thought my life needed to be law school or nothing, and everybody would be so disappointed in me if I didn't pass this test. It was horrible. I had $110,000 worth of debt, which I casually did not look at. I just decided I was going to ignore it because I didn't have the funds or mental capacity to deal with it. And that's just how I chose to live my life. I was thinking about potentially taking another $150,000 of debt for law school, just because I thought everybody told me I should go to law school, so I should do that. I also had a deep sense of like loneliness and helplessness, and I couldn't really understand why I didn't fit in anywhere. And that all led to me making decisions based off of the needs and opinions of others and not myself, until I chose to move abroad. Now I enjoy universal health care. Like I can go have a heart attack for free in the hospital nearby if I truly wanted to. My mind shift has shifted away from the American values and like the rat race. And I'm very comfortable closing my laptop at 5. I don't need a mansion. I don't need a Ferrari. I just want to be financially independent and like do what I want when I want to do it. I paid $45,000 down in my student loans in 4 years. Like that is huge. Bravo, Vanessa. Thank you. I met my soulmate. I got married. We have a wonderful little cat, and we live in Germany now. Moving to China changed my life. I have an international friend group with a global support network. The joke is I have someone in every major port and national airport. So if you need help, I might have someone domestically for you. I have a thriving career in tech that I love, and I've invested over $35,000 in 1.5 years while paying down all my student loan debt. Like, do you see how night and day this is? And this is because I chose to follow my heart, follow my passions, and build a life outside of what people considered was normal. So my recommendation to you is to move abroad in the most efficient and cost-effective way possible. And here's one way to do it. So I have my Move Abroad Masterclass, one for Americans, one for internationals, going anywhere with any passport. And this is a 6-week experience that you have all access to forever. So as I continue to make improvements, which I do, you can access that at all times. There's video and written content. I have expat interviews. We talk about how to find a job, how to buy a house, everything. And then there's a whole section on how to find a job abroad with my detailed explanation of how I got all those companies to take me in for interviews, jobs, internships, you name it. Who is this class for, you ask? Professionals, long-term travelers, partners of foreign nationals, and dreamers. Just like anyone who is curious about building a life abroad and who wants to do it the right way the first time instead of flailing like I did, almost getting deported from multiple countries. You will also graduate with an end-to-end plan. You can see my client Cindy. She's presenting her 5-month trip or plan to move to Spain. She's leaving this January. And as you can see, you actually have colleagues in the class. So you're learning all of this content and getting feedback from them and working with me directly to build this plan for yourself. And lastly, I actually have a 48-hour sale just for you guys this weekend. You can use July sale to access the Move Abroad Masterclass. I also have 2 other products. One is my financial fluency class about personal finance end-to-end. This is relevant for all passports. It talks about debt smashing, budgeting, investing, everything. And then I have my Etsy store, which is filled with digital templates, products, Instagram templates, all that good stuff. Everything I have is 30% off for the next 48 hours. Down below where it says redeem your discount here is where you can go to click to find more information about all of these products. And I will go ahead and start answering some questions. Let me make myself bigger real quick. Click to close message. There we go. Now you can see me. Ooh, I'm a little bit sweaty from all the lights. All right, let's go down to the questions, asking in real time. Okay. Questions. Woo, 17 questions. What are the ideal platforms to search for jobs abroad? As I said, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, and Indeed. Let's see. Could you talk a bit about the logistics of it all? Applying for visa, work permits, blah blah. How long is this process before you're able to move? Was this process easier for some countries than others? So the whole end-to-end process of finding a job is likely going to be anywhere from 1 month to 3 months, depending on what country you're trying to get into. Because in Germany, it took me ages, like 2 months just to secure an offer. And then they had to go through the workers' council, et cetera, et cetera. It's a long time. But in the United Kingdom, I got my job in 3 weeks for my travel tech company. So it really varies. And then the visa application process itself will vary from 1 month to 3 months as well. So I would anticipate you finally being out there in 4 months, roughly, depending on where you are in the world. For my Chinese visa, I got my job immediately, like in 2 weeks. I got my visa in another 2 weeks, and then I waited a whole year to go out there because I needed to graduate first. So it truly depends. Can I get a job abroad while still in the US and then move after? Of course you can. That's what loads of people do. It is a little bit harder if you don't have international experience just yet, because employers are dubious that you might abandon everything that you know and love in order to go abroad the first time. But if you did like a study abroad in Italy and now you want to come back, or if you studied English or you taught English in China and now you want to go to South Africa to work, that experience abroad demonstrates that you know exactly how the process works. You're not afraid to move abroad, and that puts you in a much better position. Could you talk about how paying US taxes while working abroad happens? How does it work? Is it a complicated process? No, it is not a complicated process, so long as you don't make it a complicated process. For most people that are just earning a normal 9-to-5 salary in the UK, you just need to report that income back to the government, and then they leave your salary alone so long as it's under 115,000 US dollars per year. But there's still some fancy like tax credits that you can apply to erase that value completely. Basically, you're paying more tax abroad than you are in the United States, so you're able to make the case that the United States should not touch any of it. If you're like me and you have companies, dividends, a higher salary, there's a more complicated process that I can privately talk about later. The masterclass is self-taught with videos and writing content and activities, but there is a small group coaching session that I run with all of the classmates in that cohort. So you're meeting up with us every week to do that. So it's not completely self-taught. What are your tips for finding an industry to settle into abroad when you're kind of a job hopper? I'm a job hopper as well. Like every 2 years, I jump jobs, companies, whatever. I position that as experience, and that I've grown a lot from learning what I don't want to do, so I can focus on what I do want to do. I think that all the different varying backgrounds that you have really can position you in a opportunity that has a lot of different options. So for example, if you worked in a e-commerce store and you jumped around from finance, teaching, and energy, you can apply all those learnings in business, in customer support, in creating a customer sales funnel for like normal people, not these complex engineers, all of that you've learned from your past jobs. So just make sure you spin it in the right way. Is it possible to get a remote job from an abroad company while studying in a university? Yes, and that is your best option because you're already on the ground, you're already in the mix. I would recommend that you try to do your dissertation with a company. That's what I did in London. I was doing my dissertation on Chinese energy policy. I was working with an energy company and they gave me an internship so I could do my dissertation with them. They proofread everything. They gave me resources and recommendations. It was a great thing to have on my resume to get my first full-time job. What does safety look like for queer BIPOC in the UK and Germany, or Spain and Portugal as well? So in Germany, it is very queer friendly. I would say it's more queer friendly than it is BIPOC friendly, just because there can be some like conservative undertones here in Germany about immigration and about foreigners coming in. That being said, it is no more aggressive than what a lot of countries are dealing with right now. Like there's a big anti-immigrant sentiment in the United States. There's a big anti-foreigner sentiment in Asia for a lot of countries that are having difficulties providing for their local communities. Truly, like nowhere in this world is safe. So as long as you focus on your personal safety, and then you just deal with the like hostility towards people who are different, like you normally have to do, that I would recommend is the best course of action. You will never find anywhere that is the golden goose egg where all people from all walks of life are completely safe. Cologne is definitely fantastic. I think that Berlin is also fantastic for BIPOC and queer folk. Look into those cities. And Portugal's pretty laid back, so I would recommend that as well. Spain can be a little hostile towards people of African descent or refugees, just because it's not as open of a community towards those specific groups of people. Can you also cover remote job searches? So I'm technically on a remote contract. I've negotiated that remote contract. I turned a non-remote job into a remote job, go me. But you can also check out my friend at It's a Travel OD for remote job specifics. And I cover remote work a little bit in my masterclass. I have a remote job in tech currently, but I'm having trouble convincing my company about working abroad. Yes. Any tips or resources? So that is a very hard sell. Tax is no joke for large corporate companies if they do not have an international presence. I haven't really figured out this, which is why I only apply to international companies that do have a presence in that company. So for Expedia, it's an American company, but they have a German office. And that's how I was able to negotiate my transfer to Germany, because they already have a tax set up in place. And then my contract got moved to a German one. I'm 43 professional with EU passport and want to move to Germany. I'm in sales and management in hospitality industry, but want to make the change. How is the job market for a woman of my age? I think the job market is actually really open for a woman of your age, because we are always encouraging women to get back into the workforce. They're very friendly to women returning to work in the European Union from maternity leave. And of course, they're always trying to encourage more balanced representation of women in higher, more mature roles. So come on down, girlfriend. Yes, this will be recorded. Options for nurses looking to work in administrative roles online. I'm not 100% sure about administrative roles for nurses. It's a very specific request, but we have online doctors and technology that always needs support. Check out Doctolib in Germany and then Babylon in the United Kingdom. How did you get good with blogging and content creating? Practice, just keep writing stuff and hoping people will come down. If July isn't the right time to go to the masterclass, what do we do? Stick around. I wander onwards. I publish lots of free content and resources. But if you really want to get it right the first time, I would seriously consider prioritizing this masterclass at some point this year, just so you're not making the same mistakes that I did or that normal people do as you go on. Unfortunately, there's no silver bullet for this. Like, I had to learn the hard way multiple times. I almost got deported from China, the United Kingdom, and Germany. That's why I put it all in one place. Do you do personal consultation, or is it included for if we sign up for your masterclass? I do have a 1-hour personal consultation that you can purchase. It is more expensive and not as cost effective if you were to do the masterclass. In the masterclass, you actually get my personal attention. I'm always asking for your specific feedback, what your ambitions are. I make my recommendations based off of your specific circumstances, family, financial situation, everything. I have a video of some of the plans that people have created from the masterclass about their move to Hong Kong or Spain. And you can really see what the result is of that. Is the visa situation particularly different in Germany? I know in Spain you have to be in the US to get it. Yes, so Germany required that I get the the spousal visa outside of Germany first. So I did it in the United Kingdom at the German embassy. Then once I went to Germany, I actually went to the immigration office to get my residence permit. So you can actually enter Germany without a visa, without a fiance or work visa, spousal or work visa, and then go to the immigration office directly from there. I just felt more comfortable going with the visa in my passport and then coming in and doing all that paperwork. Let's see. Any tips for networking? Did you introduce to companies / people that you are trying to network with? I pinged them on LinkedIn. I just messaged them and I'm just like, hi, I'm Vanessa. I'm thinking about this. Do you have 15 minutes to have a coffee with me to do that? And I tried to build like a normal relationship with the recruiters and people that did my job, like you would in person. So start there. I don't have a German spouse. Do most sponsoring companies in Germany assist in spousal visa processes? So this is a little confusing to me. Why would you need a spousal visa if you don't have a German spouse? Do you have like an EU spouse and you're trying to get into Germany? In that case, I would assume you go to your spouse's embassy, so like a Spaniard's embassy in Germany, to get your spousal visa to be in Germany. But you would want to consult a licensed professional for that. How do you manage your funds? I use a US bank account and then send it over in TransferWise to Germany or vice versa. TransferWise is the godsend to immigrants and expats all over the world. It's super cheap to do. I wait to do it in large chunks. And then also, hot tip, don't send any more than $10,000 at a time, because that starts to trigger investigative bells. And you just don't need people looking at your money when it's your money to deal with. Any courses or certifications you would recommend? Yes. So there is lots of really affordable trainings on Udemy. I really like Product School to learn more about product development. That's what I use for my product development career. And then, of course, YouTube everything. That's what I do. How do you keep your American salary while working abroad? Is it as simple as interviewing with only American companies, i.e. Google, Amazon, etc.? So I never worked in corporate America because I left when I was 22. So I actually had to build up to an American equivalent salary abroad. In my opinion, an American salary would be anywhere above 70,000 US dollars in a different country. In the UK, like I mentioned, I was making £18,000 a year. So I really had to work up and beyond. And now I make six figures. So that took a long time. Actually, not too long. It was about 4 or 5 years that I had to work, keep negotiating, keep building, keep changing positions until I got where I wanted to be. Okay, let's go into the chat and answer a few more questions. I know you guys are very interested. Let's see. What if you're not sure about what industry you want to work in, but you still want to work abroad? You should just do whatever will get you abroad. Honestly, work on a yacht, go teach English, do the woofing and like learn how to farm. The purpose of moving abroad is to really discover who you are, what's important to you, and what you want to potentially do for the rest of your life, if you want to even choose one thing. So don't think about it too hard, because like fate is going to move you around the world like it did me. I started in China. I went to the UK because of a boy. Now I'm in Germany. I think I'll go to Brussels next. I really have no idea, but I'm excited to find out. Is it really financially reasonable to move abroad for work for some no-name company? The taxes, rent, and high cost of life will kill most of your net income. Maybe it makes sense only if you apply to FANG. Don't know what FANG is, but I assume that's the major tech companies. Yes, it does make sense. So before I started working for a major tech, also, I don't even work for a FANG company right now. I work for a Fortune 500 company, yeah. But when I was working for a travel tech or a education tech company, I was making about $33,000 a year. After tax, I had $2,000 left. And my rent was £600. I was able to eat, travel, and sorry, when I say travel, I mean transport. I was able to eat, pay my bills, and take public transport for another 500. So I had another 900 pounds left over to just do what I wanted to do with it. Thanks to the exchange rate, I was able to pay down $300 a month to my student loans, and then use the rest to like go traveling, treat myself to skincare and restaurants. And it turned out to be a really good move for me. It really depends on what you imagine your lifestyle is. So if like cars, houses, and fancy things are important to you, you might not be able to afford a Chanel bag on a UK salary. But if you want healthcare, a safe living environment, no mass shootings, I'd be happy to take that pay cut in order for those things. Let's see. What are some things we should negotiate when accepting jobs abroad? Flight, moving expenses, transportation stipend, etc. So if you're able to secure a corporate job abroad, or maybe a teaching job abroad, you should be able to get a relocation package. So a relocation package will have anything from like a cash stipend of $5,000 to flights included, maybe a temporary accommodation, assistance with visa processing, etc. So first and foremost, like get paid. Focus on getting your salary as maxed out as possible, and use a relocation package as a position to negotiate, because maybe you agree on just the $5,000 lump sum so you can move yourself abroad in exchange for a higher salary. We've been able to negotiate like a full package to move, higher salaries, flights, etc. And that's just because we were able to really demonstrate our value to the companies that we were working for, and then why they needed to relocate us to a different country. Let's see. Ooh, Puneet says, I have a TEFL certification. I plan to move to Italy in September. I love that. Paris is hella expensive. My friend is living in a 20 square meter shoebox. She's an accountant, but that's part of the charm of living in Paris. Like, there are some things that need to give when you're choosing your life abroad. If living in a small apartment is okay with you, that was okay for us in London. We lived in a 42 square meter apartment for 6 years. We are my husband's 6'8", like I'm 5'8". We are not small people. And we were sharing, like, I think that's 400 square meters. We did that for 6 years, but we were able to save tons of money. We were able to invest loads. It really is what is important to you. Do you have any info on the Germany job seeker visa? I do not, unfortunately, but if you're part of the masterclass, I can definitely do a deep dive in that for you. Do we have to give up our American citizenship to get another passport? We do not. If the country allows it. Germany does not allow Americans to hold German and American passports at the same time, so you would have to give it up, unfortunately. Okay, guys, I am really feeling this on my voice, so I'm going to take the last question. Okay, for your masterclass, I saw that this course. Oh no! Please go to click is not American. Oh no, you couldn't find the page. I will drop it in the chat. So if you are not American and you are interested in my Move Abroad masterclass, I will drop this link in there right now. Why is this not working? Oh, this is working for me, guys. Oh, sorry, I cannot find the page. Gasp. Uh-oh. Why is that? Give me 1 second. Does that work? Oh no. All courses. Here we go. I am super warm with these lights. There we go. Dominican student who is dreaming of moving to London. Any tips? Study there first. It makes a huge difference, and there can be really affordable master programs there. Let's see. My bank in France gives us the transfer fee when I use my card in countries with different currencies because I'm a student. So look into that. The Charles Schwab American debit card or credit card, there you go, does not charge fees when you withdraw money abroad. I also use N26 and Revolut to withdraw money abroad for no fees. So you can do that instead. Any suggestions on how you decide how long you want to move abroad for your first time? It really just kind of unfolds as you're out there. Maybe you hate it and you want to come home, and that's okay. Don't worry about that. The point is you tried, and then some of you will actually continue staying abroad like me until God knows when. 6'8", does he play basketball? He is a former semi-pro athlete for handball, which is like a European sport where you play water polo on land. All right, guys, I am truly suffering with my throat. Let's just move on to the last slide. Don't be shy. If you want to come say hi in my DMs on Instagram, I would love to hear from you. Please continue to stick around Wander Onwards. I host loads of free content like this, and I'm always trying to support people to chase their dreams abroad. If you are interested in my masterclass or any of the relevant products that I've just described, you can go ahead and click down right there. Whoop, redeem your discount here to get access to my Move Abroad masterclass and see what it's all about. I really hope to see some of you in my July cohort. I'm so excited that Europe is finally opening to the rest of the world. As of July 1st, we are now letting all sorts of people into Germany. So come down, come figure out what you want for your life and how you're going to get it, and just focus on what makes you happy. Because like we learned in the past year and a half, we have no idea how long we're going to be on this planet, what the conditions are going to be. So you deserve to explore what matters to you and where that might be. So thank you again for being here, and I will see you on the internet. Bye.